Hey, what's going on? It's Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. What you're going to hear is the media availability where Boo Corrigan, who is the chair of the College Football Playoff Selection Committee, along with Bill Hancock, who's the executive director, field questions regarding the Michigan football team and the sign-stealing allegations that are currently taking place. Now, in short, they basically say that these are just allegations at this point, and the NCAA is investigating this, and their job is just to rank the football teams in terms of overall talent, but it's worth listening to. Here you go.
Question will come from Ralph Russo with the Associated Press.
Good evening, gentlemen. Actually, my question is for Bill. Good to talk to you, though, Boo. We'll let you off the hook on this one. Yeah, hope everything is well. Bill, my question is about a Ward manual from Michigan being on the selection committee. I know he's recused for the Michigan discussion, but because of what is going on with Michigan, was there any suggestion from Ward about possibly stepping off the committee? Was there any talk, concerns from you and your colleagues about Ward being on the committee, just with so much, I think it's fair to say some controversy around Michigan right now?
No, Ralph, there wasn't any suggestion that anything changed regarding Ward's position on the committee. He was fully engaged in the meeting the last 2 days, as usual.
Yeah, Ralph, I would just add, and I know you didn't ask me, but to Bill's point, was completely engaged in everything that was going on. Obviously, he gets recused early in the process, if you will, with our ranking, but, was in the room, was engaged, was, making the points that he had seen for the teams that we were talking about, was a really good committee member, as all 12 of them were.
If I could just follow up there just one quick sec, because I'm sure Ward is probably into it. I'm sure it's a bit of a respite, in fact, considering all the things that are going on. There is also this idea of just, credibility, and with some things floating around Michigan right now with the sign stealing, I guess was there any concern from either of you that, do we want somebody who is high ranking at Michigan right now on the committee? Does that reflect well on our credibility?
Ralph, it just wasn't an issue. Ward brought credibility when he came to the committee, and he still had it and still has it. And as Boo and I both said, he was fully engaged today. So it's just not an issue here.
Great. Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. If you got anything to add, Boo, that's fine, but that's great. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Ralph.
We'll hear next from Dan Walken with USA Today.
Yeah, hey, Boo, I heard you on television saying that the Michigan sign stealing didn't come up in the room and that it's an NCAA issue. You also said to top the call here that the committee was impressed with how Michigan has dominated their opponents. So, kind of given the level of detail that I know the committee likes to use to evaluate all these teams, I'm curious how you can properly determine that Michigan is the number 3 team in the country if you didn't discuss whether part of their dominance is using information they shouldn't have had.
Hey, Dan, it's Bill. Michigan's played well all season. Fact of the matter is, no one knows what happened. We're dealing right now, the NCAA is dealing right now with allegations only. Committee makes its judgments based on what happened on the field. And clearly, Michigan has been a dominant team.
From Angelique Shingelis with Detroit News.
Hi, Boo. Just sort of piggybacking on Dan's question, I was just curious, what is the primary reason why the Michigan, the sign stealing issue that's now under investigation, why wasn't it part of the conversation?
Hey, this is Bill again. You have to remember that these are allegations at this point and not facts. And so there's no substantive evidence that anything happened that might have affected the game. All this committee does is evaluate what happens on the field during games. And that's why we are where we are.
If I could ask a follow-up, in terms of, you mentioned Michigan's dominance the first 8 games, how much of a factor has been their strength of schedule in ranking them third?
It's a factor in what we're looking at. Again, when you can point to, from a Georgia standpoint, Florida and Kentucky, with Ohio State, when you can point to Penn State, the win at Notre Dame, the win at Wisconsin, while UNLV, Rutgers, Nebraska, Minnesota are good wins. I think looking at it in total, even with the dominance offensively, defensively, defensively giving up about 6 points a game, it really turned the committee's head from that standpoint, but that was the reason they came in at third.